So I'm back with Jeremy Stafford, marketing manager for law enforcement and military. Excellent. And we're looking at a new version of the 940 that's going to be coming out in a few weeks. Tell me more.
Yeah, so with the new SPX version of the 940, we've made a couple of changes, and they're not just cosmetic. It's not just so that the gun looks better. We actually got into the nuts and bolts of the gun and looked at what we could do to make it perform better in a self-defense role, which is what this gun is set up for. So on the SPX version, we still have the AccuChoke up front, so that is adjustable by the end user. But you're going to notice it also has low-profile new front sight that has protective wings and a fiber optic rod.
Before we move down the gun, I noticed that your magazine tube is protruding a little bit past the muzzle.
Yeah, so that's for a couple reasons. One, we've changed the magazine tube to a one-piece magazine tube. This portion that you're seeing right now is actually just like a sleeve that screws over the front, and it retains the forend in place. Unlike some of our competitors who also utilize that one-piece tube, we opted not to go with a plastic piece, and instead we've gone for an aircraft aluminum piece. We still do have the M-LOK slots up here, but those are going to be kind of relegated to a less important role, and I'll tell you here in a minute why. But as for the length, yeah, it does protrude a little bit, and that's because the SAMI spec for 2 3/4 inch shotgun shells gives about a 1/4 inch allowance.
That much?
That much.
Oh,
that means that if we want to guarantee that our end user is going to get 7+1, we have to be very generous with that tube in order to overcome that, because some manufacturers are just a little bit looser with that tolerance than others. So that just gives us a little bit of insurance. Make sure that those people don't call us all upset. They instead call the ammo manufacturer, because it doesn't fit in another gun.
Sure. Now the forend has some significant changes over previous models.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed first off, I mean the shape's different. I know you'll talk about that in just a minute, but we've got your 3 M-LOK rails, right? Left and right and bottom. But you've moved the QD sling mount ports all the way to the back.
Yes, that was a very conscious decision. The reason we did that is because this gun is set up as a defensive tool. And we are assuming that this gun is going to see both a sling and a light. So if you mount a light into that M-LOK slot, and if this QD socket is right next to it, what you've done is you've made it so that that light is not going to be an option for you in the middle of a fight. You know, static range work, you might get away with it, but in real life, when you have, you know, say, I'm going to roll it over here. If I have a light here and my sling there, well, this is where my thumb goes, because this is my support hand and I'm right-handed, and I wouldn't be able to access anything. By moving this sling swivel rearward, not only do we allow for more adjustment in the sling, which is important, but now we also give access to this area so that support thumb can do work. I can turn on a light, I can turn on a laser, I can do whatever I need to.
Sure.
And you'll see we also built up the top right here. And again, that wasn't just something that we did for an aesthetic purpose. We did that for a reason. One, because it's the closest thing we can get to a heat shield on this.
Okay.
Meaning that if I'm going to have my thumb up high on the gun, which we assume most people will,
right,
and I activate that light, now I have a good place to put it, and I don't have to worry about it getting burned by the barrel if I'm in a training scenario and I'm just pouring a bunch of rounds downrange.
Sure. And while we've been shooting these this morning here at Gunsight, the texturing you've added at the forend is really effective. Nice and grippy,
Yeah.
but without being overly abrasive to bare hands.
Yeah, that's that texture, that pattern is actually something that we carried over from our pistol, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be consistent with most of our stuff now. Wherever we have that embossed checkering, it's going to be consistent from product to product.
Oh,
we also added this spring steel clip at the rear for added stability. So what can happen on these shotguns is that polymer that we use, like any other polymer, even though we use a really dense one that has a lot of glass in it,
right,
it can be susceptible to expansion and contraction depending on the temperature. So if you shoot this gun a bunch and then it cools off and it moves back into its regular shape, you can end up with a forend that squeaks. So structurally, it made no difference, but people would feel it and they'd go, "Oh my God, it's the forend squeaky."
Right.
Well, so we had to come up with something for that allowed it to expand and contract, and still gave us the rigidity that we want. So we added that spring steel clip right there.
So I know you made some modifications to the controls.
Yeah. One, we have the knurled bolt handle right there, which I think does a much better job under most tactical scenarios as compared to the older competition version, which was great and looked really good. But, I like that extra bit of knurling just for additional purpose in the event that I have some sort of liquid on my hands. And also moving down here into the bolt release, you can see that we've changed the profile of it. I'm going to rotate it so that the camera picks that up, so that we have that slope on the front rather than the older bull nose.
Right.
So that's going to keep it from getting caught, getting snagged, and inadvertently releasing that bolt or releasing cartridges from the magazine tube. In addition, what we've done is we've added this protector out here, this piece that provides protection, so that you have to make a really concerted effort to hit it forward, because hitting it right there won't do it. The only way that it's going to go now is if I hit forward like I did before, and it'll go. Other than that, it's not going to happen.
Sure. Well, and what I noticed with the other riders as we were spending some time, and media members learning the system, was that this profile allows you to come over the top, to drop your bolt, or to come underneath. It's really slick and easy to work with either way.
It is. And, a lot of people, they, as to the sensitivity of the bolt release in the first place, it's one of the things that we actually engineered into the gun, in that for most semi-automatic shotguns, especially the ones that are coming from Europe, I'm going to drop the bolt right here.
Sure.
In order to charge the gun, to move around from the magazine tube into the chamber, I have to press a cartridge drop lever. So it adds a third manipulation that a lot of American shooters aren't used to.
Right, because when you're running most semi-automatic rifles, most semi-auto pistols, it's a two-step process.
Yep. So with this particular shotgun, because it was intended for defense use and competition use first and foremost, the hunting variants came afterwards. It was important to us that we give people an option to where if that magazine tube is full, all I have to do, and I'm going to cheat it because we don't have cartridges in there, all I have to do is run that bolt, and it's going to drop a cartridge into the loading area, and then it's going to allow that bolt moving forward to chamber that cartridge. So we think that for a gun that's set up for home defense, or for self-defense rather, it gives certain options in eliminating that other step that many American shooters just aren't used to.
Sure. Now the gun you're holding right now has a hollow synoptic on it. Tell me about the different sighting options you've got. So with
this particular gun, with the SPX, it also comes with our one-piece ghost ring rear that has protective ridges on it. That ghost ring was designed by myself and a couple of the other guys to provide a low-profile, rugged, repeatable aiming system for this gun, and it is set up and calibrated so that with most tactical buckshot, like the Federal and Hornady offerings, some of the Winchester offerings, and when I say tactical, generally like that 8 to 9 pellet range, moving out at about 1,250, 1,300 feet per second. Those iron sights are going to be calibrated for 25 yards and in.
Right.
Those same sights with a slug, and we were out here earlier today, and you guys saw that, pardon me, with a slug, those very same sights with the reduced recoil one-out slugs moving at about 1,300 feet per second, it's going to get you on target out to about 75 yards. So nice. One sighting system, and it's going to allow you to do that. Now, this is 2024, and a lot of people aren't using iron sights anymore. I know that my eyes are very glad for the advent of red dots.
You're not alone in that.
So it has a footprint that it's the K footprint. So like the older RMR SC, but it has the bosses in the screw holes rather than the posts up front. Holosun 507K, 407K, EPS all fit. Some of the other manufacturers' stuff fits. And we also have plates available too. So you can run your other optics as well. But if you want to take advantage of that nice low mounting platform right there, then that's the footprint that you're going to want to use.
Right. So you just pull the screws that are supporting the rear sight, pop it off, put your K footprint right on, shoot the screws, and you're good to go.
Yep.
You mentioned earlier one of the reasons why you guys went with Holosun. Why was that?
Yeah. So Holosun is rapidly carving out a position for themselves in the tactical arena. And one of the things that we noticed with Holosun is that in this particular size optic, meaning the micro RDS, so smaller than an RMR, smaller than a Delta Point Pro, it has certain advantages over some of its competitors. And one is that you do get that good crisp dot. The other is that it's really rugged. We've really tested the heck out of it. In fact, we drop tested it so much that we had to change the design and the hammer on the gun to make sure that we weren't going to get any of drops, unintentional discharges when the gun was dropped. So the sight stood up just fine. We ended up having to redesign parts around that because it was very rugged. So not a commercial for Holosun. I know people have their own preferences, but in this particular size package, it has proven to us that it is a very durable option.
Excellent. And I know have you changed the slider a little bit?
So the safety, this is our new jumbo oversized safety, and you can see that it's larger, has more surface area, has more texturing. It's easier to engage and disengage. But that was actually a rolling change that has actually already gone out in all of our 590s and our 500s and 940s, everything except the 590A1, which because of the mil spec demands a metal safety. That's actually going to be changing too, but that's not ready for prime time just yet. So in every gun that doesn't mandate a metal safety, you're going to see this polymer safety, which I like so much. I've actually put on several of my guns.
It looks great. And you do have an adjustable length of pull on this one.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's not just in the SPX version. It's actually in all the 940s, but what a lot of people don't understand or don't realize is this stock is adjustable for length of pull, out to about 14 inches, down to about 12 something. We have QD swivels on each side, so we have ambi QD swivels. And it's also adjustable for cast, cant. So I can go up, I can go down, I can go left, I can go right, and I can also rotate it left and rotate it right. So rather than throw a bunch of words in there that people don't understand, it does this: up, down, left, right, left, right. So very adjustable. It's about as close as you can get to a custom stock out of the box.
Excellent. And when are these going to be available?
They're going to be dropping. They're going to be available for purchase January 6th.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.